Good morning and welcome. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Let's start with a fun fact. This day in history, September 14th, 1956, IBM unveiled the IBM 305 RAMAC, a random access method of accounting and control. It was the first commercial computer that used a moving head hard disk drive for storage. Big and bulky, not practical for small business owners, but it was an important step. If you'd like to learn more, you can use your smaller and much more powerful modern device to look it up. Very interesting history behind it. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, or just curious about the possibilities, each week our goal is to provide you with inspiration and information to empower you and start and grow your own business. We visit with experts and resource providers for solid, practical information and insights to help you on your road to success. Our categories for success remain the same each week: getting started, gaining access to capital, the week in business, accounting and bookkeeping, running your business day to day. We focus on an industry and then wrap things up with a success story. You can watch all of our segments from our Sunday shows and past stories and other resources on beoshow.com. You can also now find full episodes from more than 150 weeks on our YouTube channel at The BEO Show. We post each of the most recent shows there by Tuesday each week. Same day our newsletter comes out. Follow the QR code for information to sign up free for all of it. Here's what's ahead this hour on Business Equity and Opportunity. Helping authors strike the right balance between writing and marketing.
You really have to hold on to the belief that this book or what you're creating is going to make an impact.
A journey from Puerto Rico to Indianapolis and an owner-operator of McDonald's the whole way.
Because it's all about being customer obsessed. And that's been our success up to where we're at today.
What you need to know about non-disclosure agreements.
The reality is that's one of the only ways you can protect your confidential information.
Plus, Emil Ekiyor with more rally insights, and Courtney Kincaid has fourth quarter must-dos. Evelyn Lee is the national president of the American Institute of Architects. As part of a national tour, she was in town to meet with local architects and community leaders. We caught up with her on the road to learn more about what AIA is doing to create new career paths.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
The American Institute of Architects is an organization that represents over 101,000 architects globally. That makes us the largest design organization in the world. We have over 200 components locally, including a section in the Indianapolis area, and we represent 700 architects in Indiana, most of those which happen to be in Indianapolis. So the 2025 board has three different priorities. It's climate resilience and action, AI, and housing. I think housing is a very global problem, or housing is a very immediate problem that a lot of different industries and a lot of different communities are looking to be a part of and help solve. Our advocacy team is on supporting anything that helps build more resilient communities, ultimately. And the next iteration of that is regenerative communities, so communities that even give back to the environment. And a lot of the continuing ed that we provide for our architects, our members, are focused in that area and how they can deliver buildings that are more sustainable, climate ready, and adaptable over time. The other things that we are focused on, and I think a lot of different industries are focused on this, is just making and building a more equitable profession. So what does it mean to see more individuals like myself in leadership positions? Last year, we surpassed over 25% of our membership was females, which is wonderful. That statistic still isn't necessarily reflected in our offices, in the number of licensed architects, or necessarily in leadership positions. So we have a lot of resources, including a wonderful collection that we call the Guides on Equitable Practice, that talks to people about how to integrate diversity into not only their firms, but make sure that the projects that they are delivering really represent the community that they are being built in. One of the things that we are actually doing is, and that I missed talking to you about, was AI. So a lot of our architecture firms are wondering what that means, of course, for the future of our profession and the future of our industry. And we have a task force that is really looking at what does it mean from an ethical standpoint, since architects are licensed to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. But also, what does that mean for how we train new individuals coming into the profession? And what opportunities, frankly, does it present for architects to raise the value of what we do, especially in the public interest? I ended up pursuing architecture, and one of the, so to become a licensed architect, you have to go to school, you have to have so many hours in practice, and then which is experience, so education experience, and also examination, and you have to take tests. Then we become certified to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. One of the recommendations when you are going and getting your experience is to find a mentor outside of your firm to help mentor you, which led me to the American Institute of Architects. And I am based in California, and the AIA in California has a wonderful program which ushers emerging professionals through leadership positions. So you show up and you find yourself being voluntold or gently tugged into various different leadership positions and pushed along into AIA as a global organization. And that eventually, 20 years later, led to my path here. But it is not without the continuous support of a wonderful group and community of architects that have helped me along my path my entire career. I don't think any leaders are in my position because we believe the world is okay. I think we are here because we want to help improve the industry, or we see opportunities for architects to have a greater voice in their communities, in the public realm, in the business realm. And frankly, I've been very critical about the business model of architects. And for me, being voted in as president of AIA was just a validation that other people are looking for new ideas and new opportunities for architects in the future. And to have that ability to share that message out more broadly about how architects remain relevant in such an evolving and changing world is really such a great opportunity.
Up next, leadership expert Andrea Liebross is back, this time sharing insights about how authors can navigate the complicated world of publishing. Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. The journey from writing to getting your work published is in many ways like that of a small business owner. It takes a plan, strategy, a lot of patience, a little bit of luck. Leadership coach and author Andrea Liebross shares insights to inspire you to take the challenge.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
So I met with a neighbor who also wrote a book, and we were talking about authorship. And then I started thinking about entrepreneurship. She is more in the corporate world, but I live and breathe and talk to entrepreneurs all day long. That's part of my job. And I kind of thought, wow, being an author is very similar to being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of parallels and paradoxes. And LinkedIn is an amazing platform to start some conversation around that. So being an author, you've got to be creative, but you also have to be disciplined and committed, a little bit resilient, and those are traits that everybody has to have if they're an entrepreneur and running a business as well. So there's the creative piece, there's the business piece of a book, and then there's also what I would call the belief piece. And as you're writing, it can be a lonely road, even if you've got support. And you really have to hold on to the belief that this book or what you're creating is going to make an impact. And then figure out how to have it make the biggest impact. So that post was really a kind of a culmination of my thoughts, or a realization that I had during that conversation of how all of these things are very much intertwined. I did. I think it hit home with a lot of authors. I think it hit home with a lot of people who have thought about writing a book. And then it also really made an impact on business owners themselves who may have thought about this nonfiction piece of the publishing world. And do they really want to get into that? Do they really not want to get into that? And also for anyone who's written a book, that business aspect, no one really tells you about that, we'll say, in the beginning. And you've got to market it, you've got to sell it, you've got to think about who the audience is you're writing for. Will what you're writing resonate with them? And I think I had the slight advantage that my audience of entrepreneurs is that's who I coach and who I work with every day, and I am one as well. So it was kind of like a trifecta. I'm the author, I'm the entrepreneur, and I'm the person working with entrepreneurs. So that all kind of came together. Well, first of all, you've got to start thinking about it way ahead of time. It's too late once the book is, not too late, but it'd be helpful if you thought about it almost in the beginning processes, because how are you going to position your content or your story? So I've been on a ton of podcasts. I have a podcast myself, and I'm pretty comfortable sharing my vision, my theories, my expertise. It's different though, putting it into a book in that long form content. So it's translating your ideas into a platform that's going to connect with your audience, and then how do you actually get it into their hands? And is it something that's going to resonate with them? And that's more strategy than anything else. It's really not the content. So you've got to really be thinking about that in the beginning stages, not as you're about to close write that last chapter. As a business owner, you're both a visionary, but you also have to kind of be an operator. And writing a book, it's the same thing. So you've got a vision, you kind of know what your message wants to be, but then you have to turn into that operator and make it happen. And in that process, you can become pretty overwhelmed because 9 times out of 10, you haven't done this before. So it can be demanding of your time and of your energy, and you've kind of got to go back into that visionary mode or that leadership mode or the empowering mode of what the book is doing. The vision and the empowerment and the creativity are going to drive you. The business piece of it kind of grounds you in a sense. Like, why am I doing this in the first place, right? Because you want to make that impact. So it's a marriage of both, and that's really what a leader is doing. So my goal in this book is I wanted entrepreneurs to be both seen and heard. I want them to be seen in I want them to be seen in the sense that having a business is not the easiest thing, but I want them to be heard in whatever their service or product is makes a difference. I will say during my writing process, there are many times where I would let the business part of it almost become too overpowering, and I lost the creativity part of it. So outsourcing the marketing of it, outsourcing some of the design of it. There's a whole part about how the book is going to be designed. Like, I'm not an expert in any of that. So let someone else worry about that. It doesn't have to take up my brain space. My brain space is better in the creative piece of it, getting my message out, because I'm really the only one that knows the message. And what I will say though, developmental editors do help you in the messaging and the creative piece of it. Yeah, I mean, there's 3 elements to this. There's the belief piece of it, that you're gonna make an impact. There's the strategy, that, how are you gonna go about doing this? And then there is the persistence piece of it. You've gotta stay disciplined and committed, or else nothing is gonna happen. And I don't think I think the belief is the most important, but you need that strategy and persistence too, and you need a team of people supporting you. You can't go it alone.
You can find information on our website about where you can find Andrea's book, She Thinks Big, The Entrepreneurial Woman's Guide to Moving Past the Messy Middle and into the Extraordinary. We're just 10 days away from this year's Rally Innovation Conference. Coming up, Emil Ekiyor shares some of the rising stars to watch at this year's event. That's next when Business Equity and Opportunities returns.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again. Earlier this week, the 500 Festival announced the retirement of President and CEO Bob Bryant. He has been a frequent guest on our show and this station for more than a dozen years. He has played an enormous role in the growth of the festival and its long-term impact on the community.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
We all know coming out of a let's say a slightly difficult winter, we're ready for May, but we're also ready for these things where we can come together and be a community together. And I think that's the spirit that, to really, again, back to driving the value of the Indy 500 in our community, that's the spirit that we like to get everybody participating in, is coming together and enjoying that this is our hometown, this is what it means to be a Hoosier, and these are the things that we can do, and like I said, everybody can find something to be a part of. We have over 3,000 people that will volunteer for our events. The 500 Festival events now reach over 500,000 people annually, so there's almost as many people doing community events as there are that will be at the track through the month of May. So really, hand in hand, this has become something that is hugely impactful for the 500 and for the festival, leading to, there's an economic impact that we can talk about that's in that probably north of $40 million a year just on the festival side of literal economic impact, but it's really social impact, and it's the value that's created when the community can come together and do things together.
The 500 and the festival may own the month of May, but the Rally Innovation Conference is making a pretty strong claim on September. InnoPower is this year's co-host of the event. Emil Ekiyor founded InnoPower and announced the winners this week of the InnoPower Innovators Awards that he'll present at Rally.
And the connections that have been made, right, and I saw this firsthand. Last year we saw small business owners come into Rally, didn't have social capital, were left with some great connections with people they're still engaged with today, right? And in our city, we have a growing city, right? Indianapolis and central Indiana is growing at a rapid rate. So the timing today to really get a chance to engage people, if you're a professional, you're trying to further yourself, then this is the place to be to meet people. If you're a small business owner, if you're a business owner, you're trying to share your idea, right? Do I have the right idea? Right, I'm thinking about doing this. Am I thinking about this the right way? Then you need to be in that space at Rally. And what I love about the space is, again, you can see the investor who's invested. Last year I saw people like Christian Anderson. Christian Anderson is one of the founders of High Alpha. I saw him in the hallways of Rally sitting down, having conversations with just small business owners, right? Those are the kind of connections that we need to see happen, and we love seeing happen at Rally. When you have such a great stage as Rally, right? So we have investors, some of our best and brightest companies are gonna be there. People from all over the world are coming. We wanna be able to showcase our local talent, right? We wanna be able to showcase that, you know what? In the state of Indiana, we have some amazing talent that a stage like Rally gives us the opportunity to showcase. So we created the Rising Stars and the Innovators Award. So the Rising Stars are people that you don't know yet, right? Sometimes we see awards and the awards go to the same people, right? We're like, okay, the same person just got another award. But there's so many people that are doing amazing work that we want to be able to leverage this stage to showcase them, tell them, hey, look, we see you, we see what you're doing. And the whole world, you better watch out for this person, because in the next 4 or 5 years, they're gonna be doing amazing things. But then we also have innovators, people who are just doing things differently. It's not necessarily about technology. If you work for a nonprofit and you're solving problems in a different way, if you're an educator, you delivering instruction in a different way and getting great results. If you're a business owner and you just come up with a new way of delivering your product, right? We want to recognize innovators, right? The best ideas, people who are thinking about things differently. We want to create an environment to celebrate them at Rally as well. So we have Rising Stars and Innovators. We're going to recognize 10 Rising Stars and 8 Innovators on the big stage of Rally in front of all of their peers. But we've also seen this. When you do that for young professionals or young business owners, it takes them to another level. Their confidence, the people that recognize them. So you no longer have cold calls. Because when you call somebody, they say, look, I saw your stage at Rally, or I saw you on the Indianapolis Recorder, or I saw you on Wish TV getting recognized, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to leverage our stage to uplift as many people as possible. So for our innovators, we just saw it was so hard for the committee to select 8, right? And it was so good to see so many people doing amazing things around the state, right? Amazing things, right? We saw a founder in Evansville who created a technology for aquaponics. Unbelievable. We see young people in Gary, Indiana who started a new way of training and developing entrepreneurs that's changing their community in Gary, right? Unbelievable. So getting a chance, for me, was getting a chance to see all of these amazing people and trying to say, how do I get them all on my team, right? But really seeing that was just energizing. But the hardest thing was selecting the winners, right? And I wouldn't say the winners, because everyone that was nominated was a winner, but just selecting the people that are going to be recognized on stage. We have an issue, we lose so much talent out of our state, right? And a lot of times I say, because we don't celebrate the ones we have, right? So today you were seeing more of that. More awards, 20 over 20, 30 under 30, 40 under 40. And in this case is the InnoPower Rising Stars at Rally, InnoPower Innovators at Rally, and a big shout out to our sponsors. Bose McKinney Law Firm sponsored the Rising Stars, and then Cummins sponsors our Innovators Awards. So we have 2 major entities in our city that stepped up to say, you know what, we want to celebrate our up and coming talent. We also want some of those up and coming talent to come work for us one day. So thank you to Bose McKinney, and thank you for Cummins for sponsoring the awards.
Rally Innovation Conference is September 24th and 25th. We will be there again this year with our Business Equity and Opportunity Studio to bring back some highlights and interviews. Lineup of speakers includes Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, author, entrepreneur Molly Bloom, the Hobby Lobby CEO David Green, and more. We have a link to more information on our website. Coming up next this hour, thoughts on fourth quarter planning, how you can and should prepare.
This Week in Business is made possible by Indy Biz Pass. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
At this point, we are just 2.5 weeks from the start of the fourth quarter. For many businesses, October 1st through the end of the year is the busiest time, especially with consumer spending spiking with holiday shopping. It's also the time, though, to prepare for next year. Courtney Kincaid has tips for what you can do to prepare for a successful fourth quarter.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
As we wrap up the summer and start heading into fall, it's hard to believe, but we're already starting to think about what we should be doing in Q4. And small business owners have an opportunity now to take a look back and to kind of understand what happened this year and how it might shape the next year. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about that over the next few weeks. And the first bit of news is really good. There's a lot of optimism in the economy. In fact, it is higher than it has historically been. And so that means some increased cash flow for our small businesses and entrepreneurs. But being optimistic without taking any action won't help pay the bills, right? And so that's where your CPA can come in. Understanding how the cash flow is going to impact you, taking a look at adjusting your budget, and maximizing that tax return at year end, it's really, really the time to be doing that. As you prepare for the final quarter, it's important to think about what did you actually spend versus what you budgeted, how you might adjust for the next year. Thinking about cash flow, right? So some businesses have really great months and some businesses have really slow months, and that's really standard. But helping so you can steady yourself throughout the year is really useful and helpful, and something your CPA can really help you with by looking at historical data and helping you look towards the future. I know it is common for small business owners to think of CPAs as compliance driven, but really where they're exploding and having their most growth is in that trusted business advisor role. And so as we head into this optimistic season for our small business owners, it's a really great time to say, okay, what's happening and how might it look next year? And how can I make some different decisions that help me, go through those rough seas that I might have had this year. So those are really trusted business advisor roles that you may not think of using a CPA. Obviously, one where you often do think about using a CPA is in the tax planning area. We are facing some significant changes this year, both federally and state level. I've talked about that previously. So as we head into this quarter, just know that your CPA is preparing for those changes, but sometimes we're waiting to know what those changes are going to be. There is not automatic conformity between the state and the federal level. So every state is trying to figure out how they're going to treat some parts of this One Big Beautiful Bill Act here locally. That's a tongue twister, yeah. I think I'm going to start calling it House Resolution 1 because it's easier to say, but people don't know what that is always. So we will have a short session. We're also going into the midterms, which means a lot of the legislators want to have a really short session. And so we hope there's some clarity pretty early on and some action that's starting to happen and what we're looking for the future.
For more information about this and all of today's segments, visit our website. The easiest ways to follow the QR code that's on your screen right now. Coming up next, running your business day to day, Angela B. Freeman has insights into non-disclosure agreements. Stay with us.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again. For several weeks, we've been taking on some of the daunting but unavoidable legal challenges of running a small, successful business. Angela B. Freeman returns with more tips for protecting your intellectual property. Today, specifically, she tackles non-disclosure agreements.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
Hello, I'm Angela Freeman. I'm a partner at Barnes & Thornburg here in Indianapolis. And today I'm going to be talking with you about non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, or confidentiality agreements as they're also called. We talked about these agreements previously as associated with IP and making sure to protect your IP and innovation. They certainly are important to do that. But another reason non-disclosures are important, even if you don't have a lot of IP or innovation to protect, is just to protect confidential information. Information that often may be protected by trade secrets. So things like formulas and recipes, processes, whether those are production or manufacturing processes, customer lists, pricing lists, and even previous business acquisitions. Things that are just important or sensitive to your business that you just don't want the general public to know. Oftentimes, I find that small business owners are often hesitant or even resistant to ask for a non-disclosure agreement to be signed or executed by another third party, particularly if that entity is a large entity, someone they're really wanting to partner with. But the reality is that's one of the only ways you can protect your confidential information to make sure that once you tell that other entity, they don't go out and tell other folks. I just had a gentleman come up to me at a seminar the other day and said that he had disclosed some information years ago that he now thinks is part of a major brand, automotive brand's product. And the reality is he never signed an NDA. You can almost expect that if you don't sign a non-disclosure agreement, they will. A big entity is just much more positioned to be able to take your idea, effectuate it, manufacture it, produce it just quicker than you are just because of resources. So one of the ways to protect yourself against that and to give yourself time to ramp up, get up to speed on what you need to be doing as a small business owner is to make sure that an NDA is signed. Also, I often have people come to me and say, yeah, they signed the NDA, but they signed the other party's NDA, right? And what you need to know, as with all contracts, if you're signing another entity's contract, the terms of that agreement are established and drafted to protect that entity, not to protect you. So it is better for you to have a standard NDA that you use, again, with your business, vendors, suppliers, partners, etc., that protects your IP, your confidential information. And really that is the first step to any real business negotiation. That should be the first step. The reality is that just shows that you are a astute business owner. You are established and understand that your IP has value and you want to protect that. So that's just good information and a good presentation for any entity that you're going to partner with anyway. So my best advice is always have an NDA signed before you have any major meeting or presentation, particularly if you're pitching new information, new product, stuff that otherwise just can't be known unless you disclose it. Filing a patent application is absolutely a necessary step to protect any IP and innovation. But what that will do is protect you from someone infringing that particular product, and that is necessary. But an NDA is just another level of protection because that does not protect, a patent will not protect any information that you may disclose in a meeting that is not disclosed in that patent application. So that NDA will continually protect you against anything that you may disclose in a meeting that is not in the patent application, but still is relevant to the product, the innovation, the business, etc. So yes, I think those are dual opportunities to protect your IP, and me personally, I advise my clients to do both. That way you're protected on both fronts and can make sure that what is confidential to you stays confidential to you.
Up next, meet the husband and wife who founded Helping Hands Home Management and hear what inspired their journey.
Running your business day to day is made possible by Indy Chamber.
Welcome back. Personal experiences inspired DeAndrea and Javon Hill to open Helping Hands Home Management.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Good morning. My name is Jay Hill, Javon Hill. I am one of the owners of Helping Hands Home Management. We are a non-medical and we are a home health company as well. The way I got my start is me and my wife were taking care of our parents, and my mother, she had knee surgery, and so did her mom. So we just started doing that, and then we had a friend of ours. He was telling me that his wife was in the business of consulting people who were taking care of their loved ones, and there was another way that we could get other resources. So talking to him, going through that process, learning what the ins and outs on the business side of it was, and we just kind of got the consultation from them, and just kind of went this way with it. Well, the main thing is comfortability, having the convenience, having someone that they trust, and having really the enough service there, for them to get things done. When you have a loved one that's taking care of you, the level of service that they're going to give you is a little bit different than someone that is at a nursing home. You might have 1 or 2 people taking care of 10 to 20 people. So they're not able to facilitate certain services and needs to them as regular as they need to. keeping the loved one out of their home just gives them just more comfortability, more convenience, more accessibility to the companionship, the loved ones to be able to come over, and on one big end, the financial part of it. They're able to be at home, and the loved one is able to get to them how they need to take care of their medical needs or take care of some of their financial needs. It's not left up to someone else who doesn't really know the person. So the personal touch and the companionship, things like that, is a little bit more stronger when you have somebody at home and not in a nursing home.
So my name is Andrea Hill, and I mainly take care of anything inside the office and the beginning of, if we start a new business, anything to start up, and anything on the technical side, you would say. Well, one thing is that we take their needs into consideration, not just the needs of the whole population. So it's a one-on-one process, anything that they could think of. So it's transportation to their medical appointments. They may need a nurse. Everybody has a different span of things that they're in need of. And so we sit down with them one-on-one. We start to learn the person, get their personality. What is it, who's gonna best match with you? So we don't just say, okay, here's a person, and then you're stuck with this person. We actually sit down and get to know them and in a lot of cases, it's almost like they become part of your family. Like our nurses, literally, they're talking to their patients on a regular basis because they become so attached with them. It is not, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I'm very big on educating myself on anything when it comes to a business. So we did start off with the home care, and the government made it where now you have to go through the home health. So when I saw that a lot of my clients were in need of that, I said, okay, I'm gonna educate myself on the home health. And that is exactly what we did. We took classes. We started a home health business and got accredited through CHAP and everything. And even with our nurses, we get the nurses any training that they need so that we don't miss anything. So any bulletins that come out, we're reading the bulletins. We want to know everything, all the changes, all the things that's going to happen even in the future, so that we can reach out to our clients and our patients and say, okay, this is what's going to happen, so let's be prepared instead of shocked when it happens. Listening to some of the patients and the things that they say about the nurses, even when we go through survey and listening to the surveyors say how much the patients, adore their nurses. And the biggest part, the one thing that I really love on a regular basis is all the things that we do to give back to our community. I mean, we have different pantries that we contribute to. We have different buildings for the over 55 that we do contributions to. And of course, because we are faith-based, we have several churches that we give back to because we're able to now.
You can find more information about Helping Hands Home Management on our website. Follow the QR code that's on your screen right now. Just scan it with your phone. It'll get you right there. Up next, we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with an award-winning McDonald's owner whose story truly is a lifetime success.
Celebrating Hispanic Heritage is brought to you by McDonald's and Indiana Latino Expo.
Welcome back. Victor Rivera started a remarkable journey with McDonald's years ago in Puerto Rico. He and his story are here now, and he shares it as our success story, showing just how much he loves what he's doing.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Good morning. Well, my name is Victor Rivera. We are here in beautiful Westfield, Indiana. And this was my first McDonald's that I purchased when I became an operator in 2017. So I have a total of 10 restaurants. I started with 2, and I grew from 2 to 10 in 5 years and 10 months. Well, how it all started was a part-time job in Puerto Rico. I started going to the university, And in Puerto Rico, to go to college, you had to have, get a job to help you go to school. And McDonald's had just arrived, and I started working in the 7th McDonald's in Puerto Rico as a crew kid, closing at night. I started there. I worked for 5 years, worked my way through the ranks to become a general manager while going through college. During that tenure, I met my beautiful wife of 40 years this coming December 21st. Fast forward, I was a general manager up to 5 years until I got commissioned with the United States Army, and I did a little time in the United States Army as an officer. I was a combat engineer, airborne. And when I came back, I continued my journey with McDonald's, and I grew through the ranks, and I had an opportunity in 2002 to relocate to the U.S. I worked my way through the ranks there for the corporate side, and I did 8 years there. And then I relocated again to McDonald's to Columbus, Ohio. I did 6 years in the corporation there until I saved enough money, and I purchased these first two restaurants. This was Westfield. It was not rebuilt. I rebuilt it 2 years ago. And the one on 96 in Michigan is like 13 minutes down the road. We focused on operations. We focused on the community, and we have a lot of Hispanic employees, and they've been the backbone of us growing our business. And I was fortunate enough that we improved operations, we gained the trust of the community, and we had an opportunity to purchase 8 more restaurants on the south side of Indiana. It's been a great journey. As today, during my journey in McDonald's, I will have an opportunity to be on the board of directors. I'm the vice chair now of the board of directors. We manage 68 restaurants, approximately. There's about 37 owner-operator organizations. So we meet, and I try to provide leadership, how to give back to the community, because that's the most important thing about McDonald's. We also do a lot with our employees. We have Archways to Opportunity, where McDonald's pays 50% of the tuition. I pay the other 50% up to $3,000. And we here, all we do is get up every day and give back to the community. So in addition to that, we support throughout, there's 5 festivals and activities throughout Indiana this month, and we'll be actively participating in there. And I could say probably 50% of our employees are Hispanic or more. So we have an opportunity to provide a pipeline for growth, just like myself, my daughter, who's my director of operations, and then my youngest daughter just joined the company 2 years ago, and she's my HR officer. So she brings from an educational background, and now she's helping me with the training and development and taking care of our people in the business. It truly is a family business. I'm a first-generation operator, and I am creating a foundation for future success of my daughters. I have a son who is also in McDonald's. He works for the corporate side, and he's already put his plan in to start the development process to become an owner-operator. I'm doing this to set foundational wealth and future and continue to grow. And most importantly, I show them that being a franchisee is not just running the business. It's about taking care of your community. You're as successful as you involve yourself in the community, your local business owners, and most importantly, your staff and your crew. You can't do this without them. And they are your extended family. So we are a McFamily. And we understand their challenges today. I was there. So I am a hamburger boy, I call myself. I started as a crew kid, and today, I don't want to say my age, but I'm 60 years old, and I still work in the restaurants. I go, I clean tables, I can still take an order, I can still make our famous fries, because it's all about being customer obsessed. And that's been our success up to where we're at today. I just love coming to work every day. I don't see it as a career. I don't see it as a job. I see it as a hobby, because I enjoy doing it. I get up, I'm happy to go to work, and I'm just happy working. And when we took over our first 2 restaurants, I told my daughter and my family, the only way we're gonna be successful is we gotta be the best running restaurants in town. It's all about QSC&B, quality, service, cleanliness, and value. Value is pricing, but value is the total experience. And my first year, we turned our 2 restaurants onto probably one of the most successful McDonald's in Indiana. And McDonald's, in 2 years as being an operator, they recognized me at a national meeting for Lead Through Excellence. And I did a video on how I focus on the drive-through, on targets, communication. And McDonald's gave me 2 years later an award for inclusion because now we are becoming a model business unit for the US. So that was huge for me. And so that's in 4 years now. I go, wow. And then, so last year, get a little emotional here. I was at a meeting, and there's people who have been in the system, have never won this award. They gave me the Ronald Award, top 1%. And that's huge, 3 awards, 8 years. I don't do it for awards, but it just shows hard work pays off. Have I failed? Oh, absolutely. But I learn from them and I show them. And I show the co-op that. I show everybody. Don't be, but you gotta take risk. You gotta believe in yourself. And you know what? You make a mistake, let's move on. Let's not dwell on it. And most importantly, I think what I bring to the table for everybody, let's focus on the facts. Let's not be hard on people. Just the facts. Let's make our decisions fact-based. Let's leave our emotions out of it. And at the end of the day, you're not gonna make everybody happy 100%. If it was, we wouldn't be around. I say if we can get to 80% consensus, it's a win. If you get more than that, it's icing on the cake. And I tell my team, leadership is lonely sometimes, but that's okay. As long as you're leading the people in the right direction and everybody's being successful, somebody has to do it. And get up every day like it's the best day of your life.
You'll find more stories like this one coming up in our Celebrating Hispanic Heritage special. It airs October 7th on Wish TV. If you know of a success story that you'd like to share, we want to hear about it. Reach out to our team, beo@wishtv.com. A reminder, our show airs every Sunday over the air on Wish TV and online at wishtv.com, both free. We also post each of our 7 weekly segments and our entire shows on beoshow.com. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and subscribe to our new YouTube channel. Thank you for spending some time with us this hour. Join us next week for more business equity and opportunities. Until then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great day.
Business Equity and Opportunities is made possible by Bose McKinney & Evans, Eskenazi Health, Indy Biz Pass, Indy Chamber, and Lilly, a medicine company.